I recently took a 3-day workshop here
Mm-hmm.
in Buenos Aires.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. It's called the art of hosting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a term that um, puts together different ways of doing the and conferences. Where they call it the art of the conversation.
Right.
And so open space, World Cafe, which I don't like that much. And I tried it. I recently tried. Okay, listen, this is gonna help us both.
Okay.
They showed us something called Pro Action Cafe. Have you tried it?
Pro
Heard
Action
about it?
Cafe.
Pro Action Cafe. It's a mixture between open space and World Cafe.
Okay.
And this is where our worlds meet.
And so no, this is interesting. What
Yeah, it's
how do you run
amazing.
a Pro Action Cafe?
Am-
What's the difference between?
Amazing. It's it's been. I think it was created for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But I've been using it to wrap up all my CSM courses now. And I've been using it inside companies. It goes like this. It opens up in a circle, just like
Mm-hmm.
open space.
Yep.
Um, but what you're asking is not for sessions. You're asking for entrepreneurs. You're asking for projects. So, for instance, at the end of my CSM courses, especially if it's in company, I run one a couple of days ago, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
3 companies in Uruguay got together to organize a CSM course. So it was like six, and 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
So what I asked them was, you count the number of people you got, you divide them by 4,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the amount of, and this is a big difference with open space. This is the maximum amount of sessions you can have.
Right.
So
Okay.
I had 20 people there.
Yeah.
We only had space for 5 sessions. So you put only 5 sheets of paper in the center of the
Yeah.
circle. And the people who go there, what they have to tell is they have to describe a project. In the case of the CSM, is a project that would. I actually changed the name during the course and put it, instead of Pro Action Cafe, I put Pro Kaikaku Cafe. So what you had to tell us about a sizable change you want to make in your organization,
Mm.
sizable shift, inspired in what we have talked in these 2 days. Could be actual Scrum or something around it. So people briefly explain it, just like open space.
Yeah.
Then the entrepreneurs become the hosts of a World Cafe. In the middle of the production cafe, you got a World Cafe, but it's different. It's oriented to the entrepreneurs. They are going to be the hosts. You have the tablecloth with the paper, just like in World Cafe. You have people sign up for tables before the 3 rounds,
Yeah.
and they cannot go to the same table twice.
Yeah.
And you can only have, at least in the one I learned, 3 extra people per table. So you're going to have a total of 4.
Yeah.
So the 3 questions in the production cafe are always more or less the same.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, what's the profound meaning of your venture? What's behind your willing to promote this change?
Mm-hmm.
So your guests at the table, what they have to do is they have to just help you understand it, and as usual doodle on the paper and all. Then you have the second round, and the second round is, okay, what have you got and what are you lacking? Where are you standing right now in terms of possibilities?
Mm-hmm.
And then the third round is, what's the best next step you can take in order
Interesting.
to,
Yeah, that's important. That last one.
yeah, and so then the World Cafe part finishes, and you finish the whole production cafe, just like, I mean, similar to open space.
Yeah.
You gather all people in a circle,
Yeah.
but the only ones who are going to talk are the entrepreneurs.
Right. Okay.
And what they have to say, 2 things. They have to thank the guests, it's better if they think like more particularly. Kane, what you told me during the second round made me change the focus of my project. I mean, what's really important is what you told me. Now I going somewhere else or whatever.
Yep.
So you thank people, and then you commit to the group to the next action, and you tell them how you're going to inform them that what your results were, that you actually managed to do it, to try it, and you succeeded or you failed or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what it finishes. It has a lot of power, a lot of power.
I like it. I like it.
It's very, very powerful,
yeah.
very powerful.
A lot more. I like the commitment at the end as well. Talking
Yes.
about what you're going
Yeah.
to do. That's one of the difficulties that I have with open space, is that often, not always, but often they end on a very weak note. So you don't know if there's going to be any progress or not. You don't know if things are going to change or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I find that very, very frustrating. And this might be a nice solution to that.
Yeah, I think open space sometimes. There's always a dial with limits when you want to tune self-organization,
Yeah.
and I think that depending on the commitment and discipline of the group, you need to add a couple of rules to open space in order to make it have an impact.
Yeah.
So when I'm facilitating open spaces these days, I usually tell groups, I mean, it's not enough, but at least during the 5 finishing minutes of their sessions, they need to create a tweetable outcome of what they discussed. So it's either 140 words or pictures or a video or something. That's one step, but I think it's better because if it's a conference, then it's too wide. But if it's inside a company, maybe you can put the theme, the subject can be like, how can we work better? So you gotta leave every session with a proposal. I like adding this small limits, and I think it's similar to what Production Cafe is brilliant, but it's mostly for initiatives. It's not that cool for discussing, I know, subjects or whatever.
Yeah, vague topics.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get some tea.
Interesting. I wasn't expecting to learn about proactive cafes, but that's been a nice outcome. I'm gonna have to look that up and take advantage of
Not that much material online, but sadly, but we gotta promote it. It's very, very good.
Yeah. I certainly like that a lot better than an open space. Because, as I said, I think it looks a lot more, the outcomes maybe more tangible than for...
way more. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. So,
okay.
Let's... do you mind if I sort of try and go from there? Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
So you've talked about pretty much your journey all the way through up to... up to being a Scrum trainer. What are you working on now? What are some of the things that you're doing now, and what do you find interesting at the moment?
Okay, couple of things. Main thing I'm doing right now is I'm doing a translation of Tobias's book,
The
The People's Scrum.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because Toby told me that he didn't want me to do a translation. He wanted it to be something more. So the guys.
That is so Tobias.
Yeah. So I came up with the term linguistic variation, like a musical variation.
Yeah.
So so far I've been translating somehow freely. So I try to convey the meaning, but I do some changes. Especially I add adjectives or stuff like that. I like putting way more adjectives. But I'm also planning, but I haven't done it yet, to add like a commentary to each essay. Like, I agree with this, I disagree with this, I think this is great, I think this is not that amazing. And also, Toby told me that he would like me to add some essays of myself, so that we are co-authors of the Spanish version.
Cool.
So that's my main focus today. I'm also running courses. I mean, I'm running mostly CSM and PO courses. I've started very late in my CST career to run PO courses. It's like I think the failure that I told you before hit me so strong that I always thought, I'm not ready for it. I need to learn more.
Yeah.
So when I had a weird interruption in my Scrum career when I decided to quit last year. I mean, I had planned that for a long time and go for a full-time MBA in Spain. We moved to Spain with my wife, and I said, I'm not coming back to the Scrum world. It's this first idea that change every year. I wanted to make a sudden or big change in my work life. I said, okay, I need to change industry. I need to change everything.
Wow.
But it was too artificial. It was not organic at all, and I felt so out of place at the business school, which every single family member, friend, and colleague had told me for the past decade. Because for some reason, I think it was 2002, I visited my sister. She was doing a master's degree in Colombia. And she told me about what an MBA was, and I said, I need that. I got obsessed with it, and I quit it. But then when I was there, I said, okay, I might come back to the Scrum world. I said, I want to learn way more about PO stuff. So I started, Europe's small, so I started traveling to visit other CSPO courses. I emailed the trainer and asked them. And I think I went to Gabby Benefield's course. More, but the main one that I went to was Jeff Patton's.
Yeah. Great course.
And I went to CSPO course in Munich. And it really shook I said, okay, this is something that I need to focus on. I had been reading a lot about lean startup stuff and customer development. And I said, I want to focus it here, because I didn't want to do a PO course that didn't have a statement to make. Because my CSM course has I think a big statement and big push for what I like calling, actually I got the term from Toby, I think, the spirit of Scrum. The spirit behind the letter, the law. So my PO course was going to be discovery, not delivery, or discovery over delivery.
Right, okay. So discovery of what the business is.
Yeah, well, actually, I took these terms from Jeff Patton. He says that a PO's task is about, it has two main focuses: delivering and discovery. And we do a tiny little bit of discovery at the beginning, and then we all go all for delivery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we turn on the engine of this train, and no one's going to change the go. So this focus on learning about the market all the time, and being, I love the idea of intellectual humility that is needed in order to understand and do Scrum. And I think in order to be a PO, you need to be amazingly humble intellectually, so that you can acknowledge that will never understand the market.
Yeah.
So you can only do experiments with it.
Yeah.
So I've been focusing on that, and so I preparing and running CSPO courses and trying with the Inception deck from ThoughtWorks.
Yeah.
So doing PO stuff and product development stuff. I'm really interested in that, and I have this weird idea. You tell me, is my face getting too dark? Because sun is rising, so
You are getting very dark. It is difficult to see.
Yeah, I'm moving, and let's see if it gets better this way.
That's already a lot better.
Okay.
Oh, very nice. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. You've got some CDs and some books behind you, I think.
Yeah. Actually, these are board games.
Oh, very nice. Scrabble.
Yeah, Scrabble and Taboo, Trivial Pursuit, and a puzzle.
Very nice.
I want to show you something that I sometimes take to some. It's very delicate, so that's why I don't take it to every single course and coaching engagement. But when I get a client that's always criticizing everything, I give them this glass that my wife gave to me. It's I'm not sure it's going to read, but it says half empty and half full. And when you pour water or liquid in it, it starts filling from here up.
Yeah.
It's very instant. The message gets delivered like this. So I got this crazy idea that I really want to try. When I was in Costa Rica, one of the main things that I enjoyed was all these conversations with the PO, defining features, and I really enjoy the product thing.
Yeah.
And especially Latin America, Argentina, maybe for lack of investment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of focus in the software world in services.
Yeah.
Used to be offshoring. Now the currency exchange rate has changed, and we are way more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's still services. So no products here, and I find that boring. And I always think of the world, at least of software, can be seen from two perspectives: the project perspective and the product perspective. And the other perspective is going to be a slave of the other perspective afterwards. So you either see the world of projects that may have a product behind, or the other way around. Mm-hmm. I think the project view, which is way more prevalent in our region, is short-termed. Mm-hmm. Is way less prone to collaboration.
Yep.
And the main difference is that I think it's way harder doing if you're in a project mindset to be passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeff Patton's CSPO course is called Passionate Product Ownership. Mm-hmm. He doesn't actually mention this explicitly, but I always think of a project manager could be passionate about his Gantt chart, maybe. But I don't think there's any possibility anyone in the team might ever be passionate about the Gantt chart. But people in the team will get passionate about product features, about the product, about users.
Yeah. Especially if they can see it. If they can see it at the end of the sprint. I mean, that's a very powerful motivating factor.
But if what they see are features that are actually, in the end of the day, what they are just tasks that are going to be ticked in a Gantt chart, the feature is slave. It's something that's a consequence. But I mean, the main goal here is to tick
the box.
So tick the box. So it's very hard to become passionate about it. And
that's right.
I became really obsessed with this notion. I remember in Costa Rica, I had great weekends because I always took buses to different beaches and trails and stuff. But I remember that for the first time in my life, when I was in Costa Rica, it was Sunday evening, and I would have liked to stay at the beach, but I really wanted. I was eager for Monday morning to arrive, and I said, "Whoa, this is the first time that this has ever happened to me."
Yeah.
And that's when I thought that Scrum is the art of loving Mondays. Is
That's a great phrase. Scrum is the
yeah,
art of
actually,
loving Mondays.
yeah, actually, it used to be the tagline of my blog, but then I stopped writing it. But actually the blog was called Lunedì, which is Mondays in Italian, and the art of loving Mondays. That's it. It's playing with things and experimenting, but the end goal is for everybody to love Mondays, your client and the team. So okay, so where I was going, I'm obsessed with all this with building products, and this our lack of capacity, financial or risk taking ability or whatever, and we're not developing that many products. So what I thought was to try this model. Actually, I thought it for the first time for unemployed developers, but the thing is, there are no unemployed developers. It's a scarce population.
Yeah, good point.
But so I have met all these services companies that have a lot of gaps in their assignments. You know, they have people that they're idle because they don't have a project. So until a new project arrives, they're not sure what to give them. What kind of they develop internal systems. They do refactoring or automate many things, but that they might need to stop at one time because a new project has arrived. And only big companies, I think, have enough idle time so that you got critical mass of idle time so that you build a good product. It's hard to actually build something. So what I thought is, why don't we join forces between a lot of companies that have a little spare time and maybe freelancers who have a little spare time and unemployed people. So basically my idea is to come up with development that's similar to open source, but it's commercial. So you develop a product, you sell it, and you have collaborative capitalism iterations, a cadence of collaborative capitalism. What you do is the following. I need to try this. Each part, each service company and each individual, each one that's putting effort into this, lines of code, tests or tweets or whatever, needs to vote anonymously how they would divide up 100 points between the other people, the other individuals. And then you sum up, get the average, and then do the splitting. Because basically the thing is embracing subjectivity. Embracing the fact that it's absolutely impossible to measure each one's contribution and productivity. So because it's impossible, we're going to do it subjectively and collaboratively. So in this way, a lot of services companies could start developing a lot of products in their spare time, and they could develop cool products and also start collaborating with other companies. So that's an idea that I've been working on, but I still haven't had the time to actually put it up.
It's an interesting idea.
Sorry.
And so basically you would work with a number of different parties to build a collaborative product.
Hmm.
Who would be the product owner in this particular role?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the product owner should be a a constant, a permanent role.
Yeah.
Someone who would need to invest, not full time, but I think the product owner is the first one to appear in
Mm.
scene.
Mm.
So I got one example or one project that I would like to start with. Um, oh, there's one more thing that I'm working on. Okay, a couple of things. Uh, you tell me when that's enough.
No, no, this is interesting.
Um,
I'm intrigued. I like this. This is a really interesting idea. There are lots of issues that I can see. Like, I mean, different parties will want to
yeah,
deliver a different product. And so, how
yeah,
do you manage
yeah.
that? How do you manage that dynamic?
Well, it's stakeholders that want to do different things. It's the PO as a facilitator.
Yeah.
The
So,
PO is predetermined, and
yeah.
I know I love that definition of the book is I have it over here. A facilitator is a person who, from a neutral point of view, helps a group of people make a non-trivial decision.
Yeah.
So that's your job. It's tough,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Absolutely.
it's a
Very
PO.
difficult.
It's PO job.
Mm.
Um, I've been experimenting with this open space. It's basically open space, but I realized that at least here, in order to do an open space, we needed the approval of a university so that it can give us space.
Mm.
No, we have exams, we can't do it, and we don't have the money to rent a space. And I said, okay, that's pointless. Why don't we just do it outdoors
Mm. Yeah.
on parks?
Yeah.
So I came up with the phrase "agile is in the air," and I started doing open spaces in
Open
parks.
ear. Yeah.
Yeah. If it rains that day, I mean, hasn't happened yet, but we can rent a football, a football field.
Yep.
You know, you rent them by the hour, and we do the open space there. And it's been great so far. I haven't been able to gather too many people yet,
Yep.
but we've done many. We've done it on Saturdays and weekdays near downtown.
Yeah.
Actually, some guys in Spain and Colombia and maybe Uruguay, they're trying the idea. What I want to do is I would like to have a website or agileisintheair.org. The main thing is you see all the Agiles in the Airs, but the thing is, if you want to sign up for it, you want to go. The price for the entrance, organizing it is nothing. It's just putting a date and a place,
Mm.
and also a sort of, it's like a backlog of needs,
Mm-hmm.
things that need to be done, or it's not actions. It's many times it's things that we need for the actual open space. So, for instance, it would be great. We only did it once. If we would collaboratively prepare the food, so that we don't have to hire. Because the open spaces that I've been to always have had this traditional conference mentality behind it, with organizers and assistants, and paying an entrance, and there's food available, and there are breaks. That's not self-organization. We got to get rid of all that. So I picture this. You got this list, and it says tomato, lettuce, bread, knives. So when you sign up for the Agile is in the Air, you commit to bringing one of this. So no one else is going to bring bread. So if at the day of the Agile is in the Air, Alan doesn't show up, we don't have bread. And
that's great.
That's one hell of a price to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So during one of these Agiles in the Airs, one that was around games,
Mm-hmm.
we I think I presented a discussion topic was gamification of Scrum. of agility.
Yeah.
And I came up with this game that I really want to develop. When I started in Costa Rica, this is obviously very basic, but I wanted everybody to do TDD, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they hated the notion, and they started saying, "No, it's not for us. It's not for this domain. It's not for this language." So I got really angry, and I became very insistent, and things got worse. I remember a guy, Martin Salias, which I respect a lot, told me in the user forum that something so basic, but they will never adopt it if they don't see the need for it. And so I decided to I coined the phrase stealth zealot. I was the stealth zealot. Actually, is I'm trying to translate it. What you call it? Let me, if you got a second, and I want to look up this word in the dictionary, because it was actually a Taliban, not a zealot. It was the Scrum
fanatic.
The crouching zealot, the crouching Scrum fanatic. So that's it. That was the initial point. Is I just love this thing, but I'm going to be crouching, because if I come up, running to you and telling you this is the best, you're going to reject me.
Right.
So I'm going to be crouching. Yeah. So and then what I realized is, oh no, this is just exactly the same as with the product. The process should be organic.
Yeah.
Just like what I had seen in Ken Beck's book.
Yeah.
This is a tree. So so I started, especially in CSM courses, telling people that I like the approach of what I call organic Scrum.
Yeah.
And that is that Scrum is only retrospectives and a change agent. And everything's going to grow from there. I call it PDF, pain-driven facilitation.
Yep.
So maybe a little bit of product owner, and then a little bit of daily meetings, and then until it grows to a full-blown Scrum. So I wanted to gamify that. So I came up with this idea of talking with people there, an agile orchard.
Mm-hmm.
So you got like website, it's like a social network where every team has their orchard. And you got different plants, different trees.
Yep.
You got the self-organizing tree, and the software quality tree, and blah, blah, blah. And the strategic planning tree, continuous improvement tree. Maybe you have like an assessment. I'm not sure how to do it, and you can see your plans.
Yep.
Or maybe you start like that, and in every retrospective, you answer some questions, and you see how your plants start growing.
Yeah, so you try and grow the trees.
You got different trees, and you got a big healthy tree in software quality, but your plant of self-organization or commitment or whatever is tiny. And what the most interesting thing is, if you don't water your tree, if you don't access the system every 1 or 2 weeks, your trees begin to dry up, begin to die.
Yep.
It's like a Tamagotchi. It's like a Scrum Tamagotchi. And thus teams will start visualizing that it's a fallacy to pretend that their process is going to stay the same if they don't touch it.
Yeah.
So I want to try out this product with the model that I told you before.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to be the product owner.
Yeah.
Of that development.
And so, what do you envision will be the outcome? Will it be a software tool?
Yeah, it's a website. It's a
Right.
website where every team has their. It's like a Facebook wall.
Yeah.
You have your orchard, and you can visualize like rankings, and
Right. Okay.
teams with
Great. Yeah.
the healthier gardens,
Yeah.
orchards are teams who left. And I came up with this business model. The website is free,
Mm-hmm.
but it's public. If you don't want people to see how awful your teams are, you pay for the enterprise.
That's cunning. That's
Uh,
that's a very
yeah,
clever. That's a very clever approach to pricing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a business model as well. Um, so after finishing Tobias's our book, let's say, I think I'm going to focus on that. Try and focus on actually delivering that, presenting this idea in as many places as possible,
Yeah.
and seeing who would join this open source for money
Yep.
idea that I need to come up with a word with for, and give it a try.
Hmm. Rather than saying open source with money, perhaps you can say collaboration, commercial collaboration, or something like that.
Yeah, I thought about collaborative capitalism.
Yeah, collaborative
That's
capitalism. Yeah. Yeah.
no. When I say open source for money, is so that people understand the dynamics of the actual
Yeah.
collaboration of it. But the spirit is way different.
Mm.
Um,
The problem with the words open source is that there are so many different connotations to it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it comes with a lot of baggage, and that's
yeah,
a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
yeah. Or collaborative product development,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm.
Um, so those are the things today.
Cool.
Um,
Cool. Interesting.
yeah.
And so uh, what does the future hold for you? I mean, it sounds like you're really moving towards producing products, and you're trying
Mm.
to. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but it sounds like you're pulling away from the Scrum community. Would that be a fair thing
Uh,
to say, or the
oh
trainer
no, no,
community,
no,
perhaps?
no, 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 no. I mean, I didn't mention that much, but I love tweaking the course,
Yeah.
and I've been doing way more coaching. During these past years, I almost didn't do much any coaching at all.
Yeah.
I traveled a lot,
Yeah.
so I decided to quit traveling, mostly for health reasons.
Yeah.
So and focus way more on coaching. So right now I'm working with 2 clients, and I'm looking forward to working with more. It's
Cool.
But actually maybe I didn't mention it because coaching is like doing sports. You got to do it to at least stay healthy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's ongoing. Then yeah, maybe in here in Argentina, expanding or forming a team of coaches and trainers. Maybe that might be interesting. Yeah, I'm still planning my life after the cancellation of the MBA. Um, Actually, I found a master degree here that I find tempting now, because I thought I was never going to do a master degree after all
Yeah.
the quitting over there. But it's part time. It's in Buenos Aires.
Mm.
It's way more abstract and theoretical than an MBA. It's called organizational studies.
Hmm.
So I might want to give it a try next year.
What is the attraction with doing an MBA? And the reason I ask is that it
Yeah.
seems so very different from the type of person that you are. Because,
That's what everybody said, and they were right. Yeah, no, I lost all the. Oh, you mean the initial attraction?
no, I mean, even still, because
Oh,
to
no, 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 no.
me,
I don't want to do it any longer.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep. Yeah. To
No,
me, you
no.
seem like a very, very focused on self-organization, on
Yeah,
cultivating people, on doing things in a very natural, organic way, for lack of a better term. And
yeah,
an MBA strikes me as being the opposite of all that.
yeah. For reasons I'm still trying to understand, I became obsessed with doing one. But Buenos Aires has the highest
Psychoanalyst.
psychoanalysts to citizens ratio in the world. So
Yeah.
I've been to psychoanalysis for over 14, 15 years now, and I'm still struggling with this. So yeah, I don't know why the hell I did it, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do it. No, I don't think I will do it. But this is more about studying organizations.
Yeah.
I'm really, really interested. I ran a CSM course 2 weeks ago for a fabulous, I think it's a company. I think you can call it a company. They are
Mm.
a cooperative. Um, and you got many cooperatives in Argentina, but they usually form after the original company goes bankrupt.
Right. Okay.
So the employees like rescue it so that they don't go bankrupt. But these guys formed the software development cooperative from scratch. 10 years ago, they are 140, and one person is one vote. They democratically elect their managers,
Wow.
um, and that is so cool. And I think that's the future. I mean, after working with them, I every time I go to another company, I see them with a different prism and think, why are these employees staying here? Why don't they
Mm.
just form a cooperative?
Yeah.
Because um, the first capitalism, well, you needed the means of production. The guy with the capital had the machine, so I cannot go and make my own company. But in here, the capital is the employee's mind,
Yeah.
their brains. So why don't you just? I mean,
Take it and do
computers
your own
are
thing. Yeah.
yeah, computers are almost free. So and you can develop anywhere.
Mm. Yeah.
So like every software company should be one way or the other a cooperative. That's something that I would like to. If I get into this master, for instance, I would like to
Understand that.
understand better, and I want to start working with these guys and see what the deeper connections between cooperative companies and Scrum are. Um, I I think if you push what you call it, the pedal, the accelerator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you start going faster and faster with your Scrum car, at one point or the other, you should reach the moment at which you ask yourself, why aren't we a cooperative? And I think that might be something there's old managers.
Don't
And I saw this very clear here with this company. It was frightening, but
doesn't the fact that there's the product owner role, who has arguably the most influence within a Scrum team, doesn't that go in contradiction to a cooperative?
well, if you see the product owner as a colleague who has a different responsibility, then I don't see a contradiction. I see he's just one colleague who has a strategic view, and we
Yes.
at the team have a tactical view,
Yeah.
and that's all.
Yeah.
But if you're not the best at doing that, then we can switch roles.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying. I mean, I don't think cooperatives that split equally the earnings are always the best. Actually, I don't like that.
Mm.
These guys, for instance, I mean, the challenge is getting to the fair distribution.
Yeah, yeah, and not
It,
only fair, but seem to be fair as well.
yeah, fair and perceived as fair.
Yeah,
So these guys have like a table. So depending on the role, the salary they got, it's open, it's transparent.
yeah,
They came up with another rule that's interesting, and that says that no one can earn more than 4 times that other person. That's very interesting. And then every year they democratically vote all the income,
yeah.
the earnings, whether they're going to distribute it or reinvest it.
Mm.
So they vote on that, and if they're going to redistribute it, they redistribute it using this table,
Yeah,
and with an algorithm that takes into account years in the company.
yeah,
So they have voted, for instance, that what they call a director, which is like a manager, earns maybe 4 times more than a junior developer. I really want to experiment with this algorithm that I told you about. That everybody decides how to split earnings or money or income among the rest,
yeah,
and then you do the average.
yeah,
And I thought about scaling this as well, this algorithm, you do recursively,
yeah.
and teams decide how to split all the income of the company between teams, between other teams.
But how will they know?
So
I mean, unless you understand what they do, and in many large companies
yeah,
you won't understand that context. How will you know whether they should get more or less?
that I think this is a great incentive so that there's better communication.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
This is going to force, it's going to actually force. I mean, I'm thinking this for these guys who are 140.
yeah,
Maybe you need more recursiveness
mm.
in a bigger company. But it's like scrums.
Mm-hmm.
I would need to get to. I need to try it, but the sweet spot. Level you can individuals can understand what the others do and the others' contributions, so
Yeah.
that they do a fair distribution, and then inside the teams they divide it among themselves.
Right.
Doing this algorithm, that should be fairer. I don't know. I want to start trying this with only tiny percentage of the income. Maybe you can do this with how do we split 1% of the income?
Yeah.
Let's give it a try. And what would the vote would result? Let's see.
Yeah.
And if there's too much friction. But yeah, that's one thing I would like to work on. Actually, I would like to have a structure like that if I actually form a company of consultants, which I'm not sure. There's some mixture around that. Yeah.
Why aren't you sure? Because it seems like that's naturally where you're going anyway. I mean, you said right at the very start that you wanted to form a company.
Yeah, I know. I'm very averse to risk.
Okay, so it's a personal. I don't know.
Decision.
Yeah.
I'm moving forward towards that.
Yeah.
But I do it cautiously.
Yeah. That's understandable.
Yeah. Actually, I remember when I tried to understand or convince myself of why I was going for the MBA.
Yep.
What I said to myself and I said to others is, I want to be taught to how to embrace risk personally.
Right. There are other ways to do that, though. And it seems like you've done them a lot already. I mean, a lot of the experimentation that you're doing is, can be viewed as taking on risk.
Yeah. Maybe I mean, it was definitely the wrong place to go for me.
Yeah.
I spent exactly 4 days at business school.
Well, congratulations on just understanding that it wasn't for you and then bailing after 4 days. I mean, that's.
I'm really happy. Yeah, it had a lot of consequences. But I mean, we are just about to move back to our original apartment. More than a year after I quit it.
Yeah.
Because it was rented to someone else, and so all the the rebuilding part is tough. But
but it sounds like it was the right decision.
It was absolutely the right decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it cleared my mind and heart a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.